prep process for interviews. Once you formulate the answers and create your list of formal answers that you want to have, and you create, okay, ये अगर इसमें ये आंसर हम देते हैं, इसमें से ये सब बाहर निकलेगा, और इसमें से कुछ भी पूछेगा तो I should have my ideation ready. So that is the first level of preparation that you do, and then of course you need to practice speaking those answers verbatim. So sit in front of the mirror, stand in front of the mirror, put a tape recorder, put your voice recording on your phone, and record yourself. Record yourself. Try to listen to what you have spoken. Think about it threadbare. Form a group of 2-3 people together. Ask each other questions. Go through the entire interview structure or the interview string. कोई बोलता है फाइनेंस में करना है तो उससे क्या क्या क्वेश्चन निकल रहा है, वो सब क्वेश्चंस का प्रैक्टिस करोगे आप फिर. बट वन critical thing that you need to make sure you do before you enter the interview room. When you enter the interview, you are basically presenting yourself to the interview board and saying that मेरे को वो seat दे दो. Right? You have to give them enough reasons for them to say yes. That's the basic philosophy of an interview. And the reasons they are looking for, what does the B school look for? They are looking for their fit into their heterogeneous group. What do you bring into the class? What do you bring into their 2-year program? They expect every person to participate. Classroom discussion जब होगा किसी case study का, तो will this guy be able to take that up? That's what they are supposed to measure. And most importantly, this guy will carry my brand for the next 50 years. Everywhere he goes. Should I give him that chip on the shoulder? Should I give him this brand? So, as you all know, if I am from IIM Bangalore, a lot of people who meet me think about IIM Bangalore, or their only interaction with IIM Bangalore is through an interaction with me. And if I am not presenting a strong outcome of an IIM Bangalore training process, then what will be the perception of that college? So that's why you have to have an answer to these questions. And you have to be able to convince the interviewer that all these 3-4 things are taken care of if you take me in. I will be amongst your most participative students. I will be amongst your most hardworking and meticulous students. I will be amongst your most ethical students. And you'll be proud of me 10 years from now. If you can get this argumentation through, I don't think any interview panel will reject you, because they're supposed to find you. We were at IIM Lucknow last year, and this is the reality of even the IIMs. Mindworks was at IIM Lucknow last year. We had a recruiter there, and we had one position. We wanted somebody to come into Mindworks and transform it to the next level. We interviewed 50 candidates. Around 200 applied for the job. We interviewed 50 candidates, passing out people from IIM Lucknow. I could not find a single person who could convince me that he will be that change agent. So I could not take him in. I did not select anyone. And that's the problem that all these schools are facing. Industry-ready candidates, etc. are very difficult to find. You become one, you'll be lapped up. No questions asked. So the transformation becomes this thing. So I give this example. I give this example. Suppose I ask you to, let's say, I open this cork of this bottle, and then I ask you, can you fit this on this? Can you fit this thing on this? Given that this is also matter, and that is also matter, if this thing wants to pass through the fit of this matter has to transform itself into this. The moment this matter becomes this, somebody transforms it, or in your individual case, you transform yourself into this, from this to this. So if the IIMs are looking for someone, or any top B school is looking for someone who fits this mold, and you become yourself, or you transform yourself into fitting that mold, you'll be laughed up again because they're not finding enough people. Right? In my book, The Equation of Success, I've written about Kriti Mohan Ghosh, who is now a senior investment banker. मेरा स्टूडेंट था, IIM कलकत्ता ज्वाइन किया था. वो आके बोलता था कि सर IIM का इज्जत 10 लोग बचाते हैं, 10% लोग बचाते हैं, बाकी 80-90% लोग जो होते हैं एकदम फ्लैट रहते हैं. IIM कलकत्ता का पासवर्ड हमको बता रहा है बात, and I would agree with him. So, of course, I've been talking to most of you about all this through the year. You should be molding yourself, etc. And I hope a lot of you have done it. So if you have that argument, I'm a person who believes in excellence and I've been living excellence at least for a year's time, that mold is already ready. If you don't have it, then we'll have to look for individual strategies and answers for you. Right? But the final thing, as I mentioned to a girl student of mine who was going to IMA interview, 2 days before the interview she calls me, says, sir, iska answer kya denge, uska answer kya denge, iska kya karenge, uska kya karenge. This is around 5-6 years back when we were only running online courses. So I told her, Madhurima, you are not going to get selected. 2 days before the interview, I'm telling her this, तुम्हारा selection नहीं होने वाला. Well, I could see it. So she said, why? ऐसा क्यों बोल रहे हैं आप? As my trainer, you're supposed to help me out and you're supposed to motivate me. I said, before you enter that room, तुमको एक काम करना पड़ेगा अगर तुमको select होना है तो. She said, what? I said, तुमको अपने आप को convince करना पड़ेगा कि वो लोग तुमको क्यों select करेंगे. वो अगर तुम्हारे पास नहीं है, तो the best answers will all fall flat. और वो अगर है, तो किसी चीज़ की ज़रूरत नहीं है. मेरा एक बैचमेट है, स्वामी. He lives now in the Cayman Islands, one of the tax-free havens in the world. उसका प्रोफाइल जानते हो? IIT कानपुर कंप्यूटर साइंस. At that time, IIT Kanpur was the number 1 institute, all India ranked 7th था उसका JEE में. And he's a crazy guy. 4 साल IIT किया, IIT से इंजीनियरिंग किया. उसके बाद 3 साल nothing on the violator. इंटरव्यू बोर्ड में पूछा उससे कि स्वामी what are you doing? There's nothing on your profile. You're doing nothing. 3 साल गैप है तुम्हारा. He said, yes sir, I was just roaming around. तो उससे पूछा गया कि where, what? The interview board was shocked to look at his profile. Swami said कि sir, I had gone to the Himalayas. I was roaming around in the Himalayas. Why? I was trying to find myself, sir. This was the answer. He was taken in for sure. And this interview, which I'll just wind up with that, Professor Somnath Ghosh का जो ये था, वो I don't know answer से बहुत डर लगता है. जैसे हम अपने IIM कलकत्ता में इंटरव्यू में गए, मुझे लगा कि जब हम निकले तो सब आंसर्स हम दे दिए थे. I felt कि अरे ये तो हो ही जाएगा. They had asked me 10-15 questions, I had answered everything. I felt, wow, what a great interview. When the results came, I was not selected. And I could not fathom out at that time क्यों नहीं हुआ मेरा. एक भी I don't know नहीं बोले, लेकिन इंटरव्यू में नहीं हुआ. Right, so this story is instructive about the I don't know answer. What happened was IIM लखनऊ में इंटरव्यूज हो रहा था समर्स में, अप्रैल में होता था उस टाइम इंटरव्यूज. अप्रैल में बॉम्बे में इंटरव्यू था. तो एक स्टूडेंट है, किसी इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज का था. He came in everybody was in suits and ties and all. This guy came in a kurta and jeans and chappals. So the interview board, 3 लोग का interview board था, and they got very shocked to see this guy. One of them got very shocked to see this guy. उसको बहुत गुस्सा आ गया इस पे. So what he decided was कि इसको हम grill करते हैं. तो उसने एक के बाद एक क्वेश्चंस पूछना स्टार्ट किया जिसका उस स्टूडेंट को आंसर पढ़ता रहने का कोई रीजन नहीं था. And 10 consecutive questions and 10 consecutive, I'm sorry sir, I don't know. So this guy who had lost his mind by looking at his dress tells him that I have asked you around 10 questions, Mr. So-and-so. Mr. Somnath Ghosh is telling me about this. He was an IIM Lucknow guy. He was one of the profs who was at IIM Lucknow at that time when this interview was happening. So he's telling me the aftermath of this interview. Us in a batch. So 10 questions I've asked you, and you have said I don't know to everything. What do you know? Why should I select you? You seem to know nothing. So this guy said, yes, I don't know any of your answers, but if you permit me, can I ask you a few questions? Right? The interview turned around. And that chap, the guy who was the interviewee, he had done a lot of classical singing, classical music. So he started asking deep questions on classical music of this guy, of the interviewer. Because the Bolak interview, jo bol raha hai, can I ask you a few questions? The interviewer cannot say no. It's a catch-22 situation for him. He has to say okay. And one after the other questions came from the interviewee, 10 questions exactly. And the interviewer was just losing his face, red-faced all the time. When this guy went out of the interview room, this guy gave him 0 out of 10. The other two guys gave him 9 and 10 out of 10. He was selected, and the aftermath of this was this interview was reported to the B school, and that interview was taken off the panel for the next few years. Ye interview mein nahi jayenge. Because of this, what he did in the interview. Because as Mr. Rai was saying, there are good boards and there are bad boards, interview boards. So there is an analysis of what kind of boards went and what kind of questions they asked. There is some quality control at good B schools of that. So please don't be scared of the I don't know answer. I should have said, sir, I don't know any more religions. Are you here to select me for that? Even if I don't ask that question, I should have it in my heart. So I am Lucknow interview mein gaye. First question to me was, you come from MIT Pune. It's a very bad college. मेरे को सेलेक्ट करने के लिए बैठे हो कि मेरे कॉलेज को सेलेक्ट करने के लिए बैठे हो? ये मेरा रिस्पॉन्स होना चाहिए था. But I crumpled because I did not have the belief in myself at that point of time. So, अपना belief level before you knock on that door, you have to know that there is a champion entering inside. You have to convince yourself of that. But if you are not convinced, you can't convince anyone.